The main thing that takes time is the
adding in all the
thumbnails.
other stuff.
The thumbnails.
And you have to leave those in because that's what keeps bringing them back.
That's the only reason people watch them is because of insane thumbnails that I put on there. Don't have anything to do with the videos.
All right. After that very long-winded intro, I'm your host for this evening, Honky Magoo. With us tonight is Elle.
She's after her $2.
Eric.
Hey, everybody.
Joe.
Yep, I'm here.
Lovecraft.
Hey, everybody.
Minix.
Hey, look how happy Morrissey looks, man. I've never seen him like that glowing and happy. You can tell that his
Married life has been good to him.
Yeah, it's been very good to him. Got a good woman, glowing, he's happy, healthy. He looks great. Hi, guys.
And Scotty.
Hello.
Did I introduce them, Morrissey?
Hi.
Everybody but
talking
Morrissey.
about
Hello.
We're just going to talk about you.
No net miner?
No net miner. I don't know where he's at.
Huh.
He hasn't been in the mumble.
That's weird. He sent 2 emails out, so we know he's live.
Yeah, he's live.
All right. Apparently, Danny has tons of stuff he wants to talk about. Joe wanted to kick it off, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to start because we're so eager to.
Mine is probably going to be pretty short, and Danny's is going to take freaking forever, like usual. So, and we haven't even talked to Eric about his stuff yet.
Me?
But anyways, yeah, I set up another. I had previously set up this Lenovo, ThinkCentre M700 Tiny with just Linux Mint on it to use it as a set-top box. But then I changed my mind and I put proxmox on it. And I installed the VM for Linux Mint. And I installed an LXC for WireGuard. And I'm going to put it in the living room and use it as a set-top box, like I was originally planning, except with proxmox running in the background. So I ended up having to use the PCI pass-through to set up the audio and the HDMI, and I was able to use PCI pass-through to pass all of the USB ports to the Linux Mint VM. So it looks and acts like a regular, Linux Mint computer that we have been using in the living room for forever for set-top boxes, so that my kids know how it works, my wife knows how it works. But since, most of the time we're not watching videos in the living room, I'll be able to put its processing power to work running other things on the proxmox side, which I'll be able to control from my garage computer. And because that system is not limited by the speeds that I have in the garage, it will be getting 300 up and 300 down, which will be helpful for some of the things that I'm going to use it for, like WireGuard. So, yeah.
Now, did you see in the Matrix when I was talking about trying to access your local, domains that you have in your DNS server through WireGuard via their domain name?
I'm able to access them using their IP address.
Yeah, me too.
If you have a local DNS controller, if you're using Pi-hole or something like that, then your WireGuard is also set to use a specific DNS.
Yeah, it has its own DNS.
Yes, but you can change that.
How?
With the WireGuard version that I'm using on that machine, it's WG dashboard. It's set to Google, but I can change that to use one of my local ones.
You're using something called WG dashboard. Okay.
Yes.
I'm using WG Easy, which gives you a web interface for WireGuard.
WG dashboard does the same thing.
Maybe it's Maybe I can do it in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to check it out real quick. I forgot my WireGuard password.
WG dashboard. I got it brought up right now. Yeah. I know that it's currently using 1.1.1.1.
Cloudflare.
That's Google. But I
Google is 8.8.8.8.
Oh, okay, you're right. It is Cloudflare. But yeah, I can simply click on the peer, and this is in the peer, not on the actual like proxmox part. But
Okay.
I can go in there and change it on the peer.
So let me see. Yeah, see, I don't have any kind of setting options anyway. All I can do is create a new peer.
In your client file, it might say the actually, let me pull out my phone. I should be able to verify that. It should be able to tell you the DNS in the client file.
Let's see.
So let me pull that up.
But yeah, that's my biggest thing is.
Yeah, on this it says DNS servers in the client file, so you can change that there.
Are you using just the standard WireGuard client?
Yeah, just the one built into Android.
Oh, I see it. Okay, nice. Yeah. I didn't even know that was there. So I will use my
You should be able to change that to a local one. I haven't
Yeah.
tried.
It gives me the option.
Well, just because it lets you put in the numbers doesn't mean it'll
actually work. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're outside the network, then it might not see it.
Ooh.
I suppose you could make your Pi public facing, and that would work.
Hairpin net.
Hairpin net? Is that what you said,
Opening
Scott?
ports for it. Yeah, no.
No, I'm not. I don't need to do that with my with my Pi-hole. But yeah, that's cool. I just saw that in the client. I didn't even know that setting was there. Well, good. I learned something.
Isn't that nice?
That's very nice.
So, did they contact you? Well, I guess it's only been like a day, so.
Okay, so yeah, let me get into this real quick. This is IT career talk. Because I got some questions for you guys. So yeah, I'm going through the interview process right now with the company I've been trying to get onto for a while as a sysadmin. And I've had 2 interviews so far. So the first one was with HR. The second one was with the CIO and the, I guess, IT manager. I'm not sure what their exact title is. But my question is, so, you know, there was a few tech questions, but not nearly as many as I thought there would be. Most of the questions were about, like, how do you interact with other people? What is your problem-solving methodology? And how do you approach confrontation? Things like that. And I'm just like, it makes me think maybe they had like an insane person in the position before me or something, and he just exploded. I don't know. There were so many like human resource questions when I thought there'd be like a lot more technical questions. But anyway, so my question is, how should I approach? Say I don't get the job, and so I have another company kind of on backup. How should I approach it? Like via the interview? Like I know some of you guys have done hiring before, so like what do you look for when it comes to like a new tech employee and things like that? Because I've had the same job for years, so I'm not used to this kind of stuff.
Well, for me, and I have done hiring, and I've done it recently.
Mm-hmm.
I would be asking similar questions to what they were asking, because by the time an interviewee gets to me, they've gone through all the tech questions. And what I need to know as a team lead is how they're going to fit in the team. So, like, I will look at their resume and see what they do and don't know. And then I might start off the conversation by asking them a tech question here, a tech question there, just to make sure they're not full of crap.
Mm-hmm.
If they're feeding me a line of crap, that's something I need to know. I don't mind taking on a person that doesn't know a whole lot because I'm quite willing to train them. But I need to know that they're willing to work and they're not going to be an ass about it. Which is why I sometimes have trouble hiring people with a crap ton of experience because they think they know everything and can't be guided.
So are you looking for like humbleness and humility at least? Or?
Sense of humor is actually a big one on my team. Yeah, because, we like to joke around. We like to talk crap. And if you can't do that, you're going to burn out in my job. If you can't, laugh in the face of somebody screaming at you, then you're not going to have a good time at my job.
So what's an example? What are some examples of some of the questions you would ask and like the answers you expect?
It would all just depend on the person. If the person is anxious, I'm going to crack a joke and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
If they laugh, if they calm down after that, then that's perfect. But specific questions, I'm not going to get into. I do remember one interview, and I've told you guys about it before, where we were transitioning from the technical interview to my portion of the interview, and the guy said, I run Linux from scratch. So what's the first thing I said? No, you don't. Nobody actually runs Linux from scratch. And then he's like, well, Arch. No, you don't. Well, I run Arch. Okay, well, what flavor of Arch do you run? I've been too busy. I actually run Linux Mint. You should have led with that.
Knowing Joe, he would have just got the job immediately. If he
right?
ran Linux Mint.
I think for me, it was two things. Like if there was a very specific requirement, like if you're hiring someone for an absolute skill, like a DBA or like, someone who has to know how to do that specific thing very well, then that's one thing. And obviously you're going to ask specific questions about that, probably geared toward exactly what you're expecting them to be able to do. But I think personality is as big a factor, like Joe's saying, simply because nobody wants to work with an asshole. Not the manager, not the people next to them, not the people under them if there are any, not the customer. No matter how smart they are, no matter how capable and resourceful, if they're just a dick or some, you can't deal with it. So,
or they're going to disappear in the middle of a freaking problem.
Right. Well, that's a big one too. Are they going to stick with it and actually fix something? My biggest thing was always my favorite question was,
if you walk away, it's not your problem.
What'd you say? What was your favorite question?
Was if you don't know something, what do you do? How do you handle a situation? That's a perfectly acceptable answer. I mean, if you're willing to take the time to educate yourself and learn how to fix something, you are a resourceful person and you're valuable. If you're just going to ask me, then that doesn't help me. And there's nothing wrong with asking me if it's something procedural or if you're very new or whatever. But if you've been here for a few months and you kind of already know how things work and you're still coming to me asking stupid questions, sorry, you're not actually helping. I need to know that you're someone who's going to take responsibility for your own education, your own, growth in terms of the subject matter, and be as independent as you can be without being a cowboy,
Yeah, see, the biggest problem I had with the questions they were asking me, like those type of behavior questions, is it's like any normal human being would just act like a normal human being whenever these situations came. So it's like,
but you would be surprised how many people don't respond the way you would think they would. It's incredible.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, really. They aren't even smart enough to lie and tell you what they think you want to hear.
Yeah. So they all seem like trick questions to me because it's like, this is fucking common sense. Yeah. How do you handle trouble? Or, like one of the questions was, what happens if you get into a confrontation with a coworker? And so I was like,
Oh, well, that's different. That's weird. I don't
So I was
get
like,
that.
do you mean like an argument? Or I said, I don't really.
Are they armed?
Yeah, I don't. So, I was like, I don't have confrontations with coworkers. I just talk to people like normal human beings talk to people. What the fuck are you talking about? That's what it makes me think they had a problem with the previous employee or something.
How did you respond to it? Is that
So I said, well, I don't really have confrontations with people at work. I said, I just talk to people just normal. If there's something we don't agree on, then we talk it out, and if we can't agree on it, then we agree to disagree. I mean, what do you think I'm going to say? I'm just going to pull a knife out and cut your throat or something? It's crazy,
I've had political conversations with people at work, and we have completely the opposite standpoint. But you know what we still have? A conversation.
Yeah.
We don't have to agree at the end of it.
That's what I'm wondering. If are they wanting me to say that I'm going to take them outside and whip their ass or something, or I'm going to resort to violence? I don't get some of these questions. That's why it's so odd for me that they'd be asking that. But maybe this is the landscape of tech now. Is that they have to weed out the psychopaths so they can get somebody normal in there. I don't know.
I think a lot of it is if you're going to want to work with the person. I mean, I hired somebody in November, and I get the resumes come directly to me. I always pre-screen people with a phone call, talk to them for 15 or 20 minutes, and then if that conversation goes well, I'll bring them in for an interview. But yeah, there's a lot of crazy people out there. There's a lot of this job offering we had who had over 150 people submit resumes for it. I called about 8 people, and 2 of them called me back. So,
oh, really?
Yep. So
Wow.
tons of people never returned phone calls. So
That's crazy.
I don't know what their deal is, but a lot of it
common?
is
Do you see that a lot? Behavior like that?
Yeah, we've seen that a lot. I mean, we also have people applying for jobs that are 200 miles away, or they want to relocate, or from halfway across the country or something like that, and it's just not going to happen. But no, a lot of it is if I don't think I'm going to want to work with this person because I got 8 other people that work for me that I'm going to hear about this person being a jerk or something like that, it's just not going to work out.
Yeah,
So,
that's the thing. Is that what you're mainly looking for? Is somebody that's just easygoing and will be easy to relate to and things like that, or what?
Yeah, somebody who can function in a team, somebody that has at least decent problem solving skills. I mean, where we work, we're an all Microsoft shop, so there's also a lot of crossover with our biomedical
And to think I actually
department.
liked you.
I was actually going to say you poor bastard, but okay.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the norm now.
So yeah, some of this stuff is we have a lot of overlap with like biomedical stuff. So most people, unless you've worked in a hospital before that was in bed with all the same vendors we are, you're going to have to learn the stuff anyway. So there's a certain amount where you're going to have to figure it out, ask some questions, or deal with somebody who knows it already and be able to remember it the next time. So, some stuff you're just not going to come in knowing, and being able to figure it out and think on your feet is a big thing. Like, I'd rather have somebody go out, work on something, mess it up even more than having to constantly come to me. What do I do now? What do I do now? I'm like, well, what did you try? Because if you say nothing, that's going to piss me off.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I can ask people specific tech questions, but everything I work with is all in-house built. So unless they were employees at my company, they're not going to know this crap. So I can ask them general stuff. Have you worked with a scheduler before? Have you worked with optimization before? Have you done any scripting ever in your entire life? And yeah.
Yeah.
You want people that can think on their feet, for sure.
Yeah, experience is something. I mean, it's not nothing, and there's definitely we may want to wait till he gets back.
Did I go out?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Oh, I didn't know if you completely left. Yeah. Anyway.
No, something happened. Yeah.
Eric's frozen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me?
No, you're not frozen,
anymore.
Eric. You need to mute, Danny.
Okay.
Mute Jitsi.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can you see me?
No.
I can't either.
I got a
It's
black
all
screen.
black.
Actually,
is still
Eric's
frozen
for me too.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I refreshed, because Eric was frozen.
He's not frozen for me.
Well, he's not frozen for me now either. Hang on. I gotta set my video.
Mordency thinks he's funny.
Maybe it'll do it now. There we go. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I'm
That's
sorry,
pretty good.
Eric. I didn't mean to interrupt you like that. You were frozen, so I couldn't see what you're saying. But, I could hear what you're saying, but I couldn't see you move or anything. Now I can't hear anything from you. Can y'all hear Eric?
No, sorry, I muted because.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah. I didn't mean to throw you off there.
I was. No, it's okay. So yeah, I mean, in education, certificates, all that kind of stuff, experience. It's not nothing, but it isn't everything. It isn't as important as. That's the thing I hate about like resume, job sites and stuff like that now is everything is just keywords. Everything's keyed off of like, do you have this thing? Is this one thing? Because you might have the best candidate in the world and they don't have one of the 10 stupid requirements that HR came up with, and you're never going to see them because they just immediately automatically get filtered out. And that's just dumb. But,
yeah, you would not believe the number of calls I get for ab initio, them thinking that I'm an ab initio developer. And it says in my resume that, I worked with SAP and ab initio and how they interacted with each other. So I didn't actually work with ab initio. I worked with SAP and the messaging involved with ab initio. And so, are you an ab initio developer? We need somebody with ab initio experience. Yeah, well, I don't have what you're looking for.
Right. Just because
read my resume.
Well, no. Nobody's going to read resumes. And listen, just like Lovecraft said, I mean, it's a toss up, finding that good candidate. But anyway, the longer version that I was going to go down the path of is, like Joe was saying, like relevant skills. If you understand enough about somebody's history and background, or the fact that they were at least smart enough to complete a certificate, I don't expect them to remember a lot of it because nobody does. You kind of cram for those things. You sort of, some of it you just know because it's something you might be doing. If you're a network professional, of course, you're going to be able to pass. You should be able to pass, with a little bit of study, some sort of a network certification. But the point being that, can you learn? Can you actually perform when you need to, which is all that a test is really doing? And, are you, resourceful enough to do those things? And also to the point we were saying earlier, are you able to stick with it long enough to finish something? And so, yeah, I mean, it's so hard. It is so hard because it's individual. It really does come down to the individual, which again is why I think this modern system of having, parsing resumes being like the first foot in the door is such a bad idea for a lot of people. Because again, either you're going to get discredited or disregarded simply because of something not being optimized the right way. Or like Joe's saying, you're going to get picked up for something that doesn't even relate to you. So it is a very time consuming thing to find the right person. That is 100% true. So I know this isn't really helping you.
Yeah. So here's what I was going to do. If I don't get this job, there's another place that I'm looking at. That's kind of my backup plan. That it's the same kind of position. It's a bigger company, but I haven't submitted my resume to them, electronically yet. Anyway, because what I was planning on doing is just going in person to their home office. That way they can see I'm not a fucking nut and don't have to just throw my resume in the trash or whatever because they're looking for a certain skill set or whatever that I forgot to put on my resume, So maybe this will help with the whole personality test thing. And if it doesn't, so what? You know, at least I gave it a shot. But it's a nice company. I wouldn't mind working there. So that's kind of my backup plan. I don't want to send them my resume yet. I just want to go there and deliver it in person, dress nice, you know, be relaxed, and seem like
Bring
a
a
good
bouquet
guy.
of flowers.
Yeah, some flowers.
You're gonna take Lovecraft's idea and just go with the chaps.
Yeah, I should
Just
go with the
chaps.
chaps. Yeah. I know that's what they like.
The assless chaps.
Assless chaps. Yep.
Nothing to hide.
That's right.
So yeah, that's my backup plan because honestly, the way they were asking me these questions, it sounds like like Joe was saying, they just want to make sure that you're not a psycho and you can work with the team, and I didn't realize that there was that many people, like y'all said, that don't even have basic social skills. You know.
Have you ever seen what people look like in open source?
Well, see, that's the thing. I work in such a small company that I'm not exposed to those kind of people. Now I will admit, at the hackerspace I go to, yeah, there's some fucking weirdos up there, you know, and they all work in tech. And
Have you ever heard of programming socks?
No, what is programming socks?
Okay, so you're not as involved yet.
Have
What
you ever
is
heard
it?
of Grippy
what is
Sock Jail?
What's programming socks?
Yeah.
Take a look. You'll be
No,
excited. You might
no,
want to get yourself a pair.
You have to tell me, or is it something I have to see?
No, it's not that bad. It's mainly what you'll have is a bunch of Let me make sure I'm. You know what? I'm going to leave out the other terms because I don't want to get in trouble. But certain individuals buy these socks. They're like thigh-high socks, right?
Oh, I see them.
Yeah, and they go all the way up, and they have the individual toes on them, and they have a lot of the times they're striped or something like that.
Yeah,
and,
they're all striped. So what the fuck do these have to do with programming?
I'm not going to say it, but you know, you can find out. It's just I don't want to end up in any kind of trouble if I say the wrong thing.
It's a very niche thing. Just look it up. You'll see it.
Yeah.
Minix, did HR give you any tests or anything to take during the pre-interview stuff?
So the first interview was with HR. They didn't give me any tests or anything like that. She just asked me like a ton of questions and basically asked me, you know, my experience and what are my interests outside of work and things like that, and how long I've been with my present company, and just basic HR questions, but no tests. The second interview was the more technical one, and there weren't any tests in that one either.
Our HR has this like 50 question thing you have to answer, and it's supposed to determine personality traits, like how driven you are and all this other nonsense and stuff like that. And it puts people in all these like different categories and stuff, and it's always horrifically wrong.
Yeah. No, but a lot of the reason that I do, you know, the more personality-based questions is because I have a very small team, and we all rely on each other heavily. And, you know, somebody gets sick and I need somebody to cover second shift and I'm not available to do it. Who can I call? It's like the other day I had two people sick on first shift. So it was me by myself on first shift. And that's an insane amount of work trying to juggle all that. So I was able to call one of my second shift people and say, hey, can you come in like 2 hours early and leave 2 hours earlier, take a 3-hour lunch or whatever, and just help me out on this morning stuff. And, you know, dropped everything, jumped right online.
So I'm looking at programming socks on Walmart.com. And they're like these thigh-high socks with stripes on them. Like even Walmart.com is in on the joke, and I never even heard of this. So I'm going to take a guess that they are women's thigh-high socks that men like to wear. Am I close, Scotty?
Yeah, you're up there.
Okay. And perhaps they like to wear other women's clothing too, and maybe even pretend that they're women or believe that they're women.
Well, we have a lot of cat girls in the programming world as well.
Okay, well, there you go. No, I don't have any programming socks to answer your question.
Well, that would have aced the interview right there if you had some.
I just warned them.
Assless jobs and programming sucks.
So, well, you guys answered what was my core basic question was why are they asking these kind of questions? And I think that, yeah, I wasn't aware that there's that many people out there that apply for these jobs that don't have really any grasp on basic social skills or
Well, yeah, there's a lot of them that are
normality.
Very not necessarily somewhat antisocial people, or people who are they usually sit by themselves somewhere in a dark basement playing around on computers, and they don't know how to deal with other people very well. And so, I mean, asking people like that bluntly, I'm not sure who would just be like, yeah, I would absolutely freak out on that person or whatever, or in a job interview, and not just straight up fucking lie and be like, no, I would try to do everything perfectly right, and I would not get into any confrontations in the interview. And then, once they get actually involved with other people, freak out and whatever.
Well, Eric said you'd be surprised at what these people say during the interviews.
Yeah, you got to catch the low-hanging fruit, though. That's what that is. Catching the low-hanging fruit. Get them out of there early.
Yeah. See if they're honestly crazy people.
Yes, so anyway,
what type of technical questions did they ask, though?
So most of it was networking related. It's a sysadmin job, and so a lot of it has to do with they're an Azure, Microsoft Azure company. I mean, that's their process. So a lot of it has to do with securing networks, securing virtual servers, securing whatever. That's the thing is, I had to get these 2 security certs because they're also a government contractor, and I guess it's written into whatever contract they make with the government, and so a lot of it was like mainly keeping information within the company. So, and things like what would I do to disallow access from like specific hardware like USB keys and things like that, and how would I set up the network so that it's aware of outside influence and just weird security questions like that. A lot of most of the technical questions had to do with security. How would I secure remote servers from infiltration, like which is pretty basic. You just use public private key or use SSO, stuff like that. You disallow passwords, things like that. So I don't think they were really much concerned with like how I would actually script things or how I would push out updates or anything like that. The main concern seemed to be how do I keep people from getting in, and how do I keep maybe what do you call people who are like insiders that are bad actors or something like that from getting information out that they shouldn't be getting out, things like that.
Exfiltration.
Yeah, so it was a lot of like just that kind of as far as technical questions go, it mainly had to do with that kind of security level stuff.
So did they ask anything along the lines of how do you, like, what's your own personal policy for making sure that you stay up to pace on best practices?
No, they didn't ask that. They asked about my troubleshooting methodology, though. Like if something goes wrong, like they asked, say if you did find someone on the network or a device on the network that shouldn't be there, what do you do if you are having trouble reaching a remote server and you believe it's because of a bad actor? What do you do? Things like that. Also about like quarantining devices that have been compromised, basically taking them off the network as soon as possible, and then how do you trace that and stuff like that, which actually those 2 certs I got did help a lot. Security Plus and Security X, those CompTIA certs, they were fucking cheap, but they did help me with that, so I'm glad I took them but they were required anyway for the job. But I'm sure it's like what y'all are saying. If you kind of forget all that stuff, but then once you start actually working in that position, you learn what you need to do as you work and are trained. So,
is this going to be considered an entry-level position?
No, this is so they have. I guess they have 3 tiers. They have like help desk, they have IT administrator, and then they have sysadmin. As far as like working tiers, then you have management positions outside of that. But I didn't really want a management position, so sysadmin is what I'm going for.
See, that's kind of the plus and minus when it comes to those certs. The plus being that it's all you have to do is basically study for these things and then take a test. The minus being that it costs a lot for these tests. You have to go to a certain place to take the tests. So somebody on here was talking about how they took one recently and they had to they had a door behind them and they had to prove to the person.
Yeah,
that was me for the ITIL test. I would never recommend taking one in your home. If you get like a dickhead proctor, you're going to be screwed. If you live in an area, I mean, you should be near like a testing center or something. Like a lot of colleges and have them and stuff like that, where you can go and just get it'll be all set up for you. It's real easy to do at a testing center.
Yeah, that's where I went.
I'm pretty sure they didn't, do the remote testing when I got ITIL certified 15 years ago.
Oh yeah, I didn't have any option. That the testing center near me didn't offer it, and it's like, I know it's like a British cert now, and like it was like even the testing times were messed up with the difference in the time zones and stuff. And the guy was like really nuts.
Yeah, well, for me, the closest ones are about 45 minutes to an hour away. So it's a little bit of a pain in the ass, but I mean, if I'm going to go pay the money and do it, and the other thing is the certs nowadays are only good for like 3 years, and that's a fucking pain in the balls too. So if you get the cert and then you don't get a job in the next 3 years with it, there's ones that were good forever, and then now like the CompTIA ones used to be good forever, and now they're only good for 3 years.
Yeah, like my A plus cert, my Network Plus, both of those certs I took before the cutoff, right? So I don't have to renew those. But these 2 security certs I had to renew every 3 years.
Yeah, some of them can renew other ones. Like if you had like the new track of A plus and Net plus, and you got Security Plus last, Security Plus would bring A plus and Net plus current with when you got your Security Plus, so it would renew them. It's like a renew/continuing education piece for them.
Yeah, I think Security X renews all my certs. Like if I needed to renew A plus and Network Plus, I know it renews Security Plus and it'll renew those other 2. So that's really the only one I have to worry about, Security X. Now, if I got sysadmin, I think that renews everything. I'm pretty sure almost everything that CompTIA offers. But that's a whole nother deal.
Just as a quick aside, do you think there's real value in the shorter duration of validity for certification, or is it just a money grab?
Money grab. No, I think I think there is value.
I was going to say that there's value to the company.
Yeah, well, CompTIA is a nonprofit too. Did y'all know that?
No, I didn't. I had no idea.
Yeah, so they're a nonprofit, so I don't really know what their money would go to, but I mean they're kind of the industry standards with those kind of certs. ITIL is like a kind of like help desk stuff. I think it's mainly like managing ticketing software. Isn't that what it is, Lovecraft?
It's kind of like IT processes and stuff, and they're on the ITIL 4 now, so they've kind of changed around things. But ITIL is, to be honest, it's basically just a bunch of word salad and trying to get you to standardize on processes and stuff like that. The questions are, you kind of just got to figure it out and wing it. But it's not super hard to get, but I don't know that it's got a lot of value for me, at least personally.
Yeah, I have seen it though as a requirement for jobs. ITIL certification.
It seems like that's what they're all meant to do, is make sure that you're all speaking the same language, though. I don't see that all of the certs are like really challenging. It's just making sure that you're familiar with the different terms that'll be thrown at you.
Man,
depending
Security
on
X was
Well,
hard, dude. That
yeah,
was a hard
Well,
cert.
that one,
The-
yeah.
when you go through the information is very general information. Then you sit on these tests. The tests are a fucking pain in the balls. Like they throw absolutely everything that's even close to it. Where you're like, there's usually at least one or two that look very close to what the answer is. Maybe I just don't fucking test right then.
No,
Or
that's
test
true.
well, because
That is true.
there's so many times I just sat there and said, like, okay, most of these seem right. I gotta read this question and try to figure out what exactly it is in this question that they're looking for, because most of this seems pretty right to what I'm what would answer the question. And so I spent 10 minutes staring at one fucking question on it, like a 300 question thing. And, you know,
Yep. Now there might be like a keyword or a context clue in there that helps point you
Exactly.
to the right answer. But yeah, for sure, that's the way they're worded. And then CompTIA has some of the performance-based questions too, which are always interesting, where you might be drag and dropping or rearranging or filling in, doing some additional stuff.
dropped into a Windows command line that I haven't been in since I was fucking
for some of
DOS.
them is a little clunky sometimes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that. So the way they do it, CompTIA anyway, is they expect. So they had different modules that you go through to get your certs. So they expect you to spend 1 week on each module. So like, Security X was I think 16 modules, but I knocked it out in 4 weeks, and so I was just fucking cramming, and I barely passed the the exam, but I got it done. I got it out of the way.
They don't ask you your score in the interview.
It's always just pass or fail. And but I saw my score afterwards, and it wasn't good. I was just barely on the line. I was above the line, but I passed. But that but I think this was Eric's point a minute ago. Is if you can just a lot of times they want to know if you can just start something and stick with it. See it through. And I think a lot of the certs are like that because they're built, with these big list of modules and supposedly 1 week per module. Like I can't remember how many. I remember A+ was split up into 2 certs, I believe. Isn't it? Isn't A+ 2? It's been so long.
Yeah.
It's still 2 now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and so
back in 19, I passed the 1001, but I never got a chance to try to go for the 10 for the 1002.
Isn't one like
so
hardware and one software?
It used to be that way. It's not necessarily split that way anymore. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, and so they I forgot how say it's like 10 or 15 models a piece. So they're saying what they expect is 1 week per module. So if you can stick with this A+ for 20 weeks, see it through, and get your cert.
20 weeks.
Well, I'm just I don't know how many modules it is, but 1 week per module is what they tell you. And so I guess an employee would see that.
How much does the test cost?
He's stuck with. Oh man, Security X. How much did I pay for that? That was the expensive one.
I think ITIL was like $379. And then
the company paid for it.
Yeah, but they had a special offer for an extra $99. You could get an extra voucher in case you failed it, which I thought was just terrible. I was like, but you didn't get your $99 back if you passed it on the first time.
Gambling.
So with the A+ is $250 per test, so total of $500.
Yeah, I think Net Plus and Security Plus are like $3 and change.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
I think it was either 3 something or 400 for that stupid Security X test. Anyway, yeah. I spent $700 or $800 for both these certs, safety exams.
Yeah, but going back, I passed the 1001, but it's 2019. I passed it, so it's expired, so it doesn't fucking mean anything anymore.
You'd have to take both of them.
I'd have to take both again.
Oh my god, the A+ is so boring.
So much Windows in it too, and stupid things like what are the system requirements for to install Windows fucking 10 or something.
Oh, Security Plus was a lot of Windows stuff. I was surprised. Security X was universal, so it wasn't OS specific, but Security Plus was. Yeah.
The only time taking certifications I think are interesting is when you're young and you're just starting out, and they really help you sort of point to areas that maybe you don't know. You know what I mean? Once you've done them and you're retaking them, it's just agonizing, because it's like, I already know how to do this. Yes, I don't know that specific factoid, but that it gets obnoxious at that point. But I actually appreciated doing all of them early on in my career, because it really did help me grow in the way that I think they're intended to do. But that's why I asked the question about the cash grab versus utility of it, because 3 years, yeah, I mean, a lot changes in 3 years. But like Joe said, so many companies, the software is developed specifically either in-house or for a company specifically by like a third-party vendor. And yeah, I mean, sure, there are companies using some off-the-shelf software. And yes, I mean, you will use certain pieces of software that that is mainstream. But by and large, like, if you don't know how to, nobody knows how to do those things until they're in that company doing those things. And a certification doesn't really, whether it was 3 years ago or 10 years ago, it doesn't really tell you anything. Again, back to the point about, it just shows that you're willing to learn and able to take a test.
Yeah, I think mainly it's about motivation. How motivated and driven are you to take this seriously?
I mean, if you actually were learning new stuff, like if they looked at like, okay, what was this certification, like the A+ stuff or whatever, or the plus, certifications, what was this like last year versus this year? What was it like 3 years ago versus what it is now? Are there things in there that are actually relevant? And it's almost like there should be two tracks, right? Beginner and someone who's already had the certification, and you're recertifying. You know what I mean?
And honestly, you can take two different companies that are using the exact same pieces of software, exact same ticketing system, exact same backend, and they're both going to have extremely different processes. Different things work for different companies. So even if you know the tools, yes, that's helpful, but you're still going to have to go in and sit down and learn how they want it done.
Oh boy. Lovecraft just posted a link in the Matrix. CompTIA is about to be bought by a HIG Capital and Thoma Bravo.
Yeah, it sounds like test prices are going up.
Oh boy.
Oh
yeah,
boy.
it says CompTIA will, following the closing of the transaction, CompTIA will operate as a for-profit company under HIG and Thoma Bravo's ownership.
And I cannot bring myself to care about how far you can bend fiber optic cable.
Its existing membership-based nonprofit organization will be separated from CompTIA and continue its mission of service to the IT industry. Well, I wonder if that means that the testing part is still nonprofit. I don't know. Regardless, that just means it's going to get real shitty, probably. And if you want to get a cert, you better do it soon.
To Eric's point, when he was mentioned earlier about whether it was worth it to renew or not, my thought process on it is, like, you want everything that you start to have like a start and an end, right? Like a sunset. And for individuals working in a company, some people will get complacent, and as time goes on, they're not able to keep up. And this is like that automatic sunset for you. If you just, for whatever reason, can't take that test again, you can't hang on to that knowledge. Well, this helps clean the roster. So that's my way of thinking about it.
Oh, I'm all for like doing it if your employer pays for it and they just want to make sure that you're still motivated enough. But as far as like having certs just to qualify to work somewhere, that's a little more ambiguous, I think, like as far as knowledge goes. Because I think either Eric or Joe, one of y'all said that once you study and get the exam out of the way, usually you just pretty much forget everything that you crammed for. So
let me ask you this: do you think you can sit down right now and knock out an A+ cert?
No, because from what I remember, it's mostly. Is it Windows centric?
There's a lot of Windows.
Yeah,
a lot of memorizing ports and stuff that you can easily look up, and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I deal with Active Directory at work and some Windows Server stuff, and like I can, if I have to, I can still do the whole help desk thing if people have problems. But I mean, I'm so far removed from Windows now that if it's Windows centric like it used to be, then there's no way I could pass it. No way.
Yeah.
So if you're
wild.
at your job, and most jobs, like to Joe's point, you're not doing like the normal stuff. You're doing stuff that's more centric to whatever that company is, and then they go, okay, you have to renew your cert in this, and you're looking at this going, this is all general knowledge, sure, but this is not anything I do on a daily basis. And if my job is required to keep up with learning all this crap again, I think that's kind of crap.
Well, see, that's where
Well, yeah,
Lugcast
that would
point
be
came
bad.
in, is stacking certs. So if you stack certs and you get, like, I got the Security X cert, all I got to do is retake that, and that renews everything that I have, So if you can do that, it's a lot less of a fucking headache. If all you've got is A+, say, for instance, and then you have to renew that in 3 years, yeah, it's going to fucking suck because everybody hates Windows,
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
we
not
do.
sure the CompTIA's test questions either are very accurate representations of real world problems. I mean, they
Right.
seem to have a very textbook feel to them, but I mean, I do this kind of stuff on a day-to-day basis, and there I don't see a whole lot of overlap, in what they're asking, and this is the problem that the help desk encountered today. It's not always exactly like that.
So, Honky, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
Oh,
It's not important. Just want to make it a second.
I was just going to say, how old are you, Honky?
45.
45. I was going to say it might be worth it. to
You
take
don't
A
look a
plus
day
again,
over
but
50.
I don't know. I thought you were 39 for some reason.
No, and actually, so my brother works for a town, and the person who does, they have a county for there's a job for the county IT department, and he had me meet up with one of the women who works for the county IT. And I talked with her for a while, and like all three, and between my brother and her, they're like, apply for the job. I'm like, I can tell you right now, on paper, I look absolutely fucking horrible because I don't have anything really worth. Just try to word it as best you can and then put it in there. All right, fine. So I put it in there. I'm not expecting anything because I've sent so many over the years. I've sent so many fucking what's it called? Resumes out there and stuff. Yeah. Resumes out there, and it's just fucking nothing. So I'm not really holding my breath with this. I'm hoping that, at the very least, maybe because she works for, she works for the town, she can kind of say, hey, I spent about 10 minutes talking with this guy, and he seems to know what the fuck he's talking about. Maybe I can at least get through the front door. But, I'm not holding my breath.
Well, so what I did when I first started is, and I don't know if you have this kind of time or not, but I volunteered for like a Dallas Animal Shelter for their IT stuff, and I volunteered for I think AIDS Center of Dallas for their website stuff. So I had things I could put on my resume that showed I at least have. This is before I had any tech or career going, and so I had something at least.
Well,
you know what I put down as the way I can show what I know tech stuff.
Don't tell me you put
you're
the
a
Lugcast
podcaster.
down.
Yeah, I did.
Oh my god!
If that's what you got to work with, that's what you got to work
Yeah,
with.
That's
You'll
what I
never
got
get
to
hired.
work with. Hey, I do the website. I do the audio stuff.
Hey, hello.
Hey,
Oh, there's Netminer.
Hey, Ned.
Yeah, I
Honky,
had-
one other
He's-
thing. If you send
had a
a
bunch of-
cover letter,
yeah.
I'd suggest sending a cover letter. It's very rarely do I see cover letters coming with resumes. Like,
Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't think about
I did.
that.
Yeah.
I did a cover letter too. Actually, my brother suggested I take some of my information and throw it into ChatGPT and have it spit something out that looks like formal. I did that, and it worked out okay. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. It looks pretty good and formal. I'm still
There you
shoving it
go.
out there. Use that for my cover letter, and like the I don't know. There's a little spot at the front, at the beginning of it where you just kind of give like a quick summary of yourself.
There's got to be some kind of cover letter generator website out there.
Oh, before you go forward, what we have to do Like, this is mandatory. We gotta get an AI rendering of Joe eating that zebra cake just now, and it's got remember the old school Will Smith eating spaghetti video that they did with the AI back in the day. Like during I think that was one of the first iterations of AI that came out. How it was like super, super amorish and goofy. We need one of those of Joe eating that zebra cake.
It was delicious.
It looked good.
What were you saying that?
Well, by the time we have our next meeting, I will be a year older.
Happy birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Me too. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, man.
That's the happy birthday that I wanted. Yeah, Elle, I hope my gifts are keeping you warm.
Thank you so much.
Oh, there's a open source cover letter generator. I'll put it in the matrix here. Looks like you can just upload your resume and it'll generate a cover letter. Or a text prompt. Write about your skills and experience. There you go. So, did we want to talk about proxmox? Oh, go ahead, Honky. What else?
Well, I was going to say is that's kind of why I asked you what you wore to an interview, because I didn't know whether you would dress full to the. If I get an interview, should I go for like the full suit and tie and like I would for a wedding?
Yes. Yes.
Well, like I would for a wedding, or do I do more like khaki and?
No, for
shirt
HR meeting.
No, go for
Yeah,
the
you should
No,
wear a suit.
first
Suit and
meeting,
Yep.
suit. Definitely suit.
Got it.
Even if it's a video interview,
Mm-hmm.
do the suit.
Pants optional.
They will. They will.
Pants are optional if it's a video interview, yes. But suit and
Suggested the
tie.
assless chaps.
Actually,
It
there's
doesn't
a
hurt
good-
and it can only help.
Yeah.
There's a
Plus
good,
the word, remember you were a sharp dresser. That kind of stands out. You know?
It could also be a good indicator of your dedication. You ask someone, I can see you're wearing a shirt and tie or a suit. Could you please stand up for me?
Your wiener's just hanging out. Just
And if the
helicopter for
person
them.
says,
Free balling.
I'd rather not.
No, do it anyway in helicopter.
Nice.
You know you're already not getting the job.
Hired on
so
the
might as well make it fun.
Gents, this is some of us may not be used to our language yet.
Or you can show off your programming socks too. That should get you the job.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, there you go.
Speaking of which, I'm going to Amazon right now.
Get your new pair.
I posted the Reddit link for how it all began with those programmer socks. Evidently, it's a trans thing.
I was trying not to go there, but now
Or a cross-dresser thing.
Where'd you post it?
In the show notes.
Oh, okay.
And then under that, I posted something that Mordency should get for L. It helps me in the winter.
Talking about tech interviews. I'm just putting some notes here. Certs. So, Joe, are you backing up your VMs and proxmox?
I'm not.
Why not?
Well, the VMs, I don't see much of the point, really. I can rebuild it all with very little effort on my part. Now, the LXCs, I might consider creating a backup for those. But, I mean, I built even the stuff that's like sitting on the VMs, the audio bookshelf, the Octoprint, those are easy to remake. As long as I don't lose my audiobook files, which are now stored in 2 locations. So,
well, I'm going to start my presentation now. Let's see.
Before we go on, I got rid of the bloat in your link.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Damn it, what did I do? So I'm going to share my screen. And first I'm going to start what do I want to share? Laptops. Okay. So first I'll start with a very simple way to back up VMs or containers or whatever. So for the Raspberry Pi, I use a external drive, 1 terabyte drive, and I just created a just a normal GPT partition table, and then within the proxmox interface, I went to disks and clicked on the disk and wiped it, initialized disk with GPT, and then you can dedicate it as a, let's see, somewhere here. You create an actual backup disk for it. I think maybe it's in the options. So
that's the thing with the UIs. Can you run any commands behind the scene on Proxmox?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
System.
It's based on the image. You can tell it to back up or not. If you're asking about setting up the disk, then when you set up the disk, like there, you can tell it what it's for.
Okay, here we go. So you see the disk I have right here. When you first do it, you'll see that it's just a USB disk. I have it XT4, and what you do is hit create directory, and that makes your backup directory. And you have a chance to name it whatever you want to. And if you go into data center up here, this is where you create your backups. So you would go to backup, add, and then choose the node. So Raspberry Pi, and then the storage is backup. And then you can choose which LXC you want to back up, schedule it here. It has options here. You could create your own. I usually do completely stop, and then it'll restart it. And also retention. So how many backups do you want to keep? I usually keep 2 months worth of backups. And then my note template, I'll usually write the application name and then just daily, which means it's a daily backup. And then that's all I'll do. And then I create that. So that's the easiest way to do backups.
That's a lot to keep backed up, isn't it? I mean,
Now,
you're
does that
saying
keep 'em on
2
host?
months worth?
Well, I've got plenty of space, so I mean, you don't have to. You should utilize however much storage you have, though. So this is the better way to do it, though. And since they don't make Proxmox backup server for ARM yet, I have to do the Raspberry Pi like that, back it up to an external disk. If you have an extra computer, you should use Proxmox backup server if you're using Proxmox virtual environment, because it is awesome. It's you'll see my data store here, 39% full. I've got 11.5 terabytes. It's actually 24 terabytes mirrored. So, and then if you look at PBS, which is the name of the data store, you can see the content here, and you'll see all of my all my individual backups. It takes a while.
So
to show everything, but
this is a total of 4 machines?
3 machines, 3 nodes. So I have my proxy server, my main server, and then the Raspberry Pi. And then you'll see...
then the backup.
Yes. Oh, okay. 4 machines. You're right. Yeah. Proxmox virtual. You should, if you're going to install PBS, you should install it on a separate computer, not as a VM within your actual Proxmox server. Now, you don't need hardly anything to do to run PBS. It's super low resources. So if I go to my dashboard here, somewhere it'll show me. Okay, so yeah, look what I'm using. I'm using 492 megabytes of RAM. I'm using 1% of one CPU, or 4 piece CPUs, and I'm using a 4th gen i5 So it's an old box. I just got it stuffed with hard drives, with those Western Digital, the red drives. What are those, NAS drives or something? But yeah,
the red CMSs or the red pros.
no, they're just, the color is red. I think they're NAS drives.
Yeah, if they're red, they are specifically earmarked for NAS drives.
Yeah.
No,
So
you got to remember, Western Digital pulled that nonsense a few years back where they started switching their. No, they changed their reds, which were the NAS, to red Pro, and then the regular reds, they made them the shingle drives. So they're basically what do you call it, bait and switch.
I think I remember something like that. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely recommend, if you have a spare computer, to set up Proxmox backup server. Just like virtual environment, it's free to use unless you need the subscription for enterprise. Like you can see, I don't have a actual enterprise subscription here, so I'm just using the, what do they call it, non-production repo.
Are you using the helper scripts to set that up?
No, I'm doing it all through the web interface right here. So when
No,
I
meant the helper scripts to get rid of the enterprise repo crap and the pop up.
Oh no, I don't, because I imagine if I get this job, I'll actually give Proxmox some money because they've been so helpful. So I may get like the whatever the consumer grade subscription is, just because I've used it for so many years for free and all that stuff. So it doesn't bother me. It bothers some people, but
that doesn't mean that I want the nagware popping up every time that I open the thing.
No, and I do get that, but yeah, it doesn't bother me. So anyway, I recommend, so for a simple backup solution, just create a directory on an external drive. For a better solution with error checking and all that, do Proxmox backup server on just an old piece of hardware. All right, that's backups. So I have 3 nodes here. This is my proxy node, and it's a very simple, I think it's a ThinkCenter. It's a 4th gen i5. So it's a T version, so it's a low power chip. And all this does is run my proxy. I could probably put other stuff on it. I'm using an LXC. Actually, I'd like to transfer everything to LXC, at least as far as web applications that I deploy. Things like the render server is a VM, just because that's what I use to render the video with, what is that video program that I use? Kden Live. Yeah. So that's the only thing that really needs to be here. Another thing is...
if you're running Kden Live on that, does that mean that you have a graphics card hooked up?
No,
Okay.
I don't have a graphics card. I'm using, let's see, I do have a pretty beefy VM though. It's got 16 gigabytes of RAM, and then I'm using 8 CPUs for the render.
And what's the processor on this one?
Okay, so this is my main one. I believe it's an 11th gen i5. Yeah, 12 cores.
Okay.
So yeah, I got power to spare. Like you can see now, I'm only using 17%, 12 CPUs, and that's with Jitsi running and all that. Now here you see the RAM usage is high, and it's only high like that because I'm using ZFS. So ZFS is known for its RAM cache, which they call the ARC, and that will grab all the available RAM. Let's see, here we go. That will grab all the available RAM for RAM cache, but it releases it as you need it. So you're always going to see high RAM there, but it's not actual, it's only being used for RAM cache. So just remember that. ZFS is very good though. I am also using it in the backup server, and I had to replace one of those drives the other day, and it was so simple to just go into the interface. I think I used zpool replace, and chose the disk ID, and popped in the new disk, and it resilvered the disk, and I had my mirrored array just like it was before. And it took a while because it's an old computer; it's a lot of gigabytes, but it was no big deal. So I use EFS as well for the storage for the PVE for all my LXCs and VMs and stuff. And that, I believe, is 3. I'll have to look at my disk here. I think it's 3 enterprise SSDs. Yes. So, no, 2 enterprise SSDs. 3.84 terabytes. They're the Intel Enterprise SSD, so they have the cache and all that stuff that you need to. So you'll have low I/O. Whenever my big problem with proxmox before was this value right here, this I/O delay, and that was because I was using just prosumer type SSDs, and it would take forever for pages to load from all the applications I had. But I found these Intel Enterprise SSDs on eBay, and they were used, but I mean, you get like so many millions of read writes on them before they even get to, needing to be replaced. So that they'll probably last as long as I have the system, at least. So that's one thing. If you're getting a high I/O delay, you need to switch to enterprise SSD. If you're not, don't worry about it.
Quick question about that render server. When you're sending, like, how do you use that? Are you just sending your projects over there with the render scripts, or how's that work?
He's using no VNC.
So yes, I'm using, if I go to the console here, if I fired it up, I don't want to interrupt the show just in case it pulls a bunch of resources. But
right,
yeah, no VNC, is that what it's called? Yeah, no VNC is how I control it. So to send stuff there, I just compress to a tar file and SCP it over to the server. I do all the editing and stuff within Kdenlive on my laptop. But to actually render the file, it takes forever on my laptop, and plus I'm afraid I'm going to burn up my CPU. So I just send it over to the render server and then render it there. It's super easy. It's just I don't even know what it is. I think it's a Debian VM with KDE, but yeah, that's how I do all the rendering. So I can pass it off there at night, and it's done by in the morning. As far as what I actually have installed here, the interesting stuff, surprisingly, is on the Raspberry Pi. That's the newer stuff. So you can see the Raspberry Pi here. I've got 1, 2, 3,
this
4,
is a Pi
5, 6, 7, 8, 9 LXCs. Yeah, this is that Pi 5 that my boss gave me that he bought for his grandson, and his grandson rather play video games, so he just gave me the Pi 5. So it's got 8 gigabytes of RAM. It's currently using 3.51 gigabytes. I have a NVMe SSD that's it's the smaller form factor like they have in laptops. What is that, Joe? Do you know? 22 or 20 something or
2230?
2230, maybe that's
2242?
Yeah.
2260?
2260 is what's common for desktops, right?
No, 2280 is what's common for desktops.
Okay, so this is 2 steps down from that.
2242.
So it's compatible with that Raspberry Pi hat, the official one with the key on top that's keyed for M.2 or whatever. So that whatever size that is what I'm using, and that is I forgot. I think it's 500 gigabytes. Anyway, so I explained before in a different video how I installed it, how I was able to install actually the OS to 16 gigabytes and then use the rest for VMs and LXCs.
You're using a hat, you said.
Yeah, the hat, the official Raspberry Pi one. I think it was $12. So it's pretty reasonable.
You got. I haven't installed mine yet, but the official SSD is either 256 or 512 gig.
Yeah, I think that I have a 512 on there, but it came out of a laptop actually. It wasn't anything from Raspberry Pi or something like that, and it seems to be working fine.
Okay, so
That's the only small one I had that would fit that hat.
From the looks of it, you're not using any like Samba shares or NFS.
No, I don't have anything like external to the Raspberry Pi except for the backup drive that's plugged in via USB.
Okay.
So because I don't, what I use the Raspberry Pi for is all really small stuff. Like I've got Chasm, I've got Etherpad, which is notes. I got searching, which is that search engine. I got Git, my web tools.
Is that IT tools?
Git, the web tools. Let me see what it is. I forgot. Oh no, wait. I've got a summary here. It's Swifty, which is the browser-based SSH client. Heimdall, which is like the front page, where you can put all your application shortcuts. Wallabag, which is the bookmarker, and then Glance, which is like a front page that you configure via YAML. So I can put all my news feeds and stuff on a front page, and that's what that is. So that's what's in WebTools. WireGuard, the WireGuard server, and these are all super small too. So like I give each one about 256 megabytes of RAM, and it doesn't take hardly any CPU. Like this, each one is about 4 gigabytes of storage. Wallos, that's the subscription manager. Pi-hole, we all know what that is. And Chirp is the blogging platform, the real lightweight blogging platform.
Now, one of the things I like about proxmox is that I could give each of my, if I wanted to, and this is a dumb way to do it, so I'm just using it as an example, but like each of those LXCs that he's using down there, you could give them all of the RAM, and they're still only going to allocate what they're actually using, and everything else can still use what's left over.
That's right, and you can do that with cores as well. You can give it all the cores, and they're only going to pull what they need. So that's the great thing about virtualization versus like everything on a physical machine or whatever.
So they're using the host kernel. That's why they're able to do that, though, right? Like, can you do that same thing? Like, if you were running well, I don't even think you can run those in the VM, can you?
What's
an
that?
LXC? Yeah, I suppose you could. A virtualization inside virtualization? Yeah, it happens.
I mean, I run Docker inside LXC, so I don't see any reason why you couldn't run LXC inside a VM.
And I run Docker inside of VMs.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but the Docker and the VM thing I understand, but I mean with the LXC, because they're attached to the host kernel, like that's where they're drawing.
Yeah, they got their own user land, but they're using the host kernel. But a VM, like say my Funkwell VM, so it is. I mean, it is using its own kernel, but it's not emulating the CPU or anything like that. It's using, what do they call that, Joe? When you set up the VM and you don't want to emulate the CPU, you just use
like pass-through or something.
Pass-through, yeah. Essentially.
Yeah, it's not pass-through. It's called something else. I can't.
It's still hardware virtualization.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not emulating a CPU architecture.
It's just allocating.
Oh, I'm talking about something else. You know what I'm talking about because we talked about this before.
Are you talking
I've also
virtualization?
No, it's an option when you here. This one's turned off. Let me see. CPU. Oh, hardware. That's what I want. Yeah.
Processor. Up. Processor.
There we go. Okay. Host. Okay. Yeah. Just use the host CPU. So you don't want to do any kind of emulation as far as architecture. Like you could emulate x86-64 on here if you want to, but why do that? So unless you have a certain use case for that.
I want to emulate a 386.
Yeah. So I imagine it would work very similar to the way LXCs do as far as CPU, as far as hardware resources is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I don't see why not.
Yeah. The only thing you're your VM might do, depending on how you set it up, it may virtualize the I/O a bit too.
Yes, I do have. Yeah, the network is virtualized, but the kernel is unlike an LXC. You're using the kernel that's installed with the OS on the VM itself, whereas with the LXC you're using the host kernel.
Yeah, it's
Also,
nice.
also,
go
you might want to look in, see what if you're using VirtIO disk as well.
So I'm using. Where's that at? Options, I believe. There's somewhere here. When you first set it up, it's obvious, but after it's already set up.
That's it right there, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. VirtIO. But that's not network. Here it is. VirtIO for the network. VMBRO, which is a virtual bridge. VirtIO is the model. Oh, you could use, I didn't even know you could change that. So if you wanted to use emulate Realtek, VMware, or Intel 1000, Intel 1000E are the two options you have there.
Yeah, but I think some of the VMware one is if you import like a VMware
yeah, what is
image.
that, like VDI or something like that, whatever format they use. So yeah, that's how kind of how I have it set up. Go ahead.
Can you go back to hardware? I just want to show something there.
So here's the render server,
hardware, add.
Okay.
PCI device. I don't know if you've worked with this at all. You can do it this way, but if you haven't set anything up, then you can go to raw device. And then click on the down arrow there. And then those are your PCI device. So like if you did an LSPCI, this is what would come up. So you could like pass the audio controller or your inbuilt graphics.
Yeah.
Or even all of your USB ports using that USB 3.2 gen. Yeah. The host controller.
Let me do the this is it, right? The graphics.
Yeah, but you have to do a lot more setup before you can pass through the PCI graphics.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I was just thinking maybe that would the Kdenlive would take advantage of that.
Well, actually, if that's what you're going to use it for, then you probably could just do it like that, pass through that way.
Just like that?
Yeah.
Add PCI device.
And that's an NVIDIA card?
No, it just has
the inbuilt. It would be Intel.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. Does Kdenlive work with Intel? Because I know with AMD, everything is crap on AMD.
Should I choose all functions?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I need to go to advanced options?
No, not really.
Oh, okay. Well, so we'll add it.
Yep. And then you should be able to pass through the processing to it now. If you were trying to like use it as an actual output device, you would have to shut off the display, take it from default to none, and then you'd have to pass through a whole bunch of module parameters to make it work right.
I know Kdenlive supports what is that? Vino?
Is it under the experimental tab for you to enable that though?
What? You talking about Kdenlive?
Yeah, in Kdenlive, because don't you have to enable that feature to render on the GPU?
Probably.
I think it is. I remember clicking that in the. Well, let me pull it up on my laptop real quick. We'll just look at the interface. I remember it's in options.
Yeah, because I tried rendering on the AMD GPU and there was no love for it. I think everything's built for like Team Green.
Did you find it being worse off than just CPU rendering?
It wouldn't. on AMD. Like I just
Oh, okay.
everything's built for NVIDIA. Like they just could take no advantage of it. And I was pissed because here I am sitting on this big boy GPU and I can't do anything on it.
Let's see. Edit.
Tools?
Tools,
You have to
no.
go into settings. You have to go into settings, then configure kden live,
Okay.
and then
Let's see.
where is it at in there? I think it might be under
Transcode?
Transcode?
No, it's not under transcode. I think hell, let me open mine.
Miscellaneous. I remember seeing it. Project defaults. VAPI. Oh, that's just for the timeline preview. Okay. OpenVino is what I was thinking. Or is
All
it?
right,
Is it in the actual
Open
render window?
Vino? You mean you're going to get the server drunk?
No,
Yeah.
press Control Enter to pull up your rendering window, and then you'll
Okay.
see the thing. You have to hit more
There it is.
options. Yeah.
Okay. So.
Oh, I was looking at the video. I was like, why the hell isn't my UI working?
Let's see. Interpolation. I remember seeing it out here somewhere.
It should be up there at the top somewhere.
Well, more options is down there at the bottom.
Where?
Right there, the check mark.
No, once you select more options, it opens up that part on the right.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was here somewhere where you can.
It is definitely. What version are you running?
Let
me check on mine.
I'm using 24.12.3.
Does yours show the parallel processing?
Yes. Yeah. I usually don't. I don't enable that.
It makes them a bit fuzzy.
Yeah, may cause render artifacts. That's why I don't enable it. I think it's faster though.
Yeah, it's definitely faster, but it gets a bit fuzzy.
But because
that.
it's an integrated, it might not work the same.
Yeah, I don't see that option. I know I've seen it before though.
Yeah, I'm looking for it now, and I'm lost right now trying to find it. I'm like, I know I knew where it is because I got pissed off because I couldn't use it.
Anyway, if you find it, let me know.
Gotcha.
I'll try it out on the render server. Okay, so yeah, we'll see next time I fire up the render server if it takes advantage of the CPU's inbuilt GPU. That'd be nice. So the only things I can't really move to LXC, so Home Assistant, I'm using the actual Home Assistant image, the OS image, and I'm only able to install that within a VM, not in LXC, because it expects to be like a computer, you know. And I believe Nextcloud is running containers. I used to run the OVF file or whatever that was. That was kind of like what Home Assistant is. But everything else can run in an LXC, I believe.
I'm not running the Home Assistant OS. I'm actually running the LXC for Home Assistant. It works pretty well, but from my understanding, the Home Assistant OS actually has more functionality and is much easier to use.
Yeah.
Nextcloud, I'm also running in an LXC, but I'm not really putting it to use.
Are you running the AIO, the containerized AI all-in-one version? Yeah, that's what I'm running.
Yeah, and then some things I have found it's easier to run in a VM, just because it's easier to pass things like USB ports to a VM.
I know I run the mail server in a VM because it is so many parts to it and I need it to be dependable.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I trust the Linux container to run that many parts in one container, you know. So I do specifically like using a VM for the mail server.
Well,
oh, go ahead.
Like the Octoprint, I have to pass it a serial port. I have to pass it the camera. And if you're doing that from an unprivileged LXC, there's all these hoops you have to jump through to make it work.
Yeah.
It's just so much easier to set up the VM, set up Docker there, set up the Octoprint image inside it, and pass the 2 items that I need to that VM, and then just let it run from there.
I imagine if I had to pass anything through to what I'm working on, I would definitely use a virtual machine.
Right. Okay. And trying to even pass USB storage to a container is a frigging nightmare. Or even a Samba share, it's a nightmare.
Right.
Kdenlive, configure Kdenlive
you found it?
Yeah, go to configure Kdenlive in the menu bar, and then go over to playback on the left-hand side.
Gotta reopen. Okay. Edit.
Settings, configure Kdenlive, playback on the left.
Oh, okay. So you are GPU processing. Oh, okay. Warning. Changes to the driver's device can make kden change only if you know what to do. Oh, I don't have that option to enable GPU processing. So I can't even use the built-in GPU, I guess. You have to have a.
I think that's like I think you're gonna probably well, I'm guessing. I'm just gonna be straight. I'm guessing. I think you can need an NVIDIA.
Okay. So it probably uses CUDA or something like that for GPU acceleration, I imagine. Well, if that's the case, then it's not going to work in my render server either.
Well, it might also be the fact that you're on a laptop, and unless you have discrete graphics on there.
I don't.
But on your VM, it's going to, I think it might still see your GPU as discrete because you're passing it through specifically. So I don't know how it will impact things.
Okay. Well, I'll check that out. Maybe it'll make a difference. Yeah, that's about it. Unless there's anything else you want to know. I have proxmox set up.
I want to know how you use your Pi-hole. Do you use that with do you have your router manage it to where it's handing out the DNS, or do you manually add in the system?
I add the IP address of the Pi-hole to my router in the DNS server setting. That's how I do mine.
So you don't have it running your DHCP table?
No.
Okay. Your router still runs your DHCP, which is what mine does too.
Yep.
I read not to do that, not to let Pi-hole do that.
Now at work, we do have a dedicated DHCP server that also does our DNS for us, but it's not a Pi-hole.
I had to do mine manually.
Do you have any DNS naming set up in the Pi-hole?
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. When I connect via WireGuard, I'm not able to reach my servers via their domain names. I have to use the IP address because it's using the Pi-hole DNS. But I mean because it's using the WireGuard DNS. But I think if I did like you said, where within the client, I can choose which DNS server to use. I can choose to use the Pi-hole, which would also be good because that would give me ad blocking whenever I'm connected via WireGuard. So,
yeah, or you can set it to AdGuard.
Yeah, that would be nice. So anyway, there we go.
Oh, while we're here, anybody who's got some tips on setting up pfSense rules, I'm looking for a starter set. I've got my new box.
pfSense.
Yeah, I've got my new box, but I forget how to set up the rules. It's been a while since I dealt with it.
What'd you get?
For 2.5 gig NIC little fanless box I think it's got a 128 gig of storage, something like 8 gig of RAM, N3700, I think, CPU.
You don't want to cowboy it? Just get in there and start changing everything and see what works and what breaks?
I'd rather not, because
that's how I learned.
Yeah, well, what I am going to do, and maybe I'll find out what their default set is. pfSense was installed from the factory. So what I am going to do is set up an isolated machine with just a machine and the router and no upstream, so I can play with it and change things like the basic password, default password.
Yeah, the best thing to do with a box like that is, unironically, what Scotty said. Just get in there and start messing with it.
Well,
not with your router, but with your pfSense box.
Well, yeah, that's going to be the router.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you said you got a separate box for pfSense for your firewall.
I have a pfSense box that's going to replace my FiOS router.
Oh, okay. I thought they were using...
That's going to be the main router. And
I got you. But you still need the FiOS router to connect to the internet, right? Or no?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Also, I know how to... The only reason I might need to access the router is to force it to cancel its DHCP lease upstream. That is to say, I can command cancel it through the router interface and then unplug the router so it doesn't pick up a new lease. And then plug in my router when I've got something set up to replace it. Yeah, FiOS has gone to a separate Ethernet router Wi-Fi access point unit that can be replaced allegedly by any standard Ethernet router. And since it's pure DHCP, as far as I can tell, unlike when I was using DSL, there's no PPOE, so there's no account information inside your router. It just...
How much are they charging you for that router?
$18 a month.
Oh boy.
At least that's what I've been told. Yeah, I really do want to get the pfSense up, but I've been straightening out a couple of other things. And also, I picked up a couple of graphite thermal pads that I don't know how to use, but I'm thinking of using those instead of grease on some of my machines.
Oh, you're going to try the pads?
Yeah, I'm going to try the pads. Somebody recommended that to me.
Yeah, that was me. I tried them out. Yeah, mine hasn't caught on fire yet, and I haven't had any breathing issues from all the flakes, the sparkling flakes flying out of my PC. So yeah,
well,
go ahead and give it a try.
these are kind of. I've got a couple of graphite pads. I don't know. Do you cut them to size or what?
No, I didn't cut. No, because yours are going to be going on one of those mobile style CPUs. I'm assuming like they're smaller, so you might have to cut yours. But because mine's on a full size CPU, it just fit right over there.
Yeah, I'll have to see.
And a little tip, because I don't know how small the case is that you're going to be working inside of. Trying to fit my big ham hands in this case to get the what do you call it, the cooler on there, kept moving the damn thing out of the way, the little pad. So I ended up taking a dab of grease just to hold it down where it wouldn't move, and then stuck it right on top of there because it kept shifting each time I tried to push the heatsink down on the pad on the CPU.
Yeah, well, I think if I recall correctly, the way these are mounted, they're sort of screwed in place, so it may not move around. Again, I'm not on this machine. I'm not dealing with a normal. I'm dealing with a high density system where everything is pretty much locked down. I have a small form factor where I may have to take out, remove the fan more conventionally. I'm also wondering whether I want to take the small form factor and turn it into a server by upgrading the CPU.
Do you have any temps now before you put the pads on where you can do like a comparison?
I have really no temps, but I do have issues where I get lockups if I leave the machine running. So,
oh, not a throttle, like a full blown lockup.
Yeah, full blown lockup. So that's telling me that I need to either get grease or get pads.
Yeah, definitely let us know how that turns out. If it fixes your issues, and if you can grab some temps off of that when you. Oh crap! Tiny human, be right back.
Well, I don't think I'm going to grab temps because I don't really know how, and I do know that this is a problem that has been dragging for a while, especially with the small form factor stuff.
You can't use what is it, HW info or whatever, to grab your temps?
I might, but right now, once I open it up, I'm just going to want to get her done.
What else is? Oh, I wanted to tell you about this. I won this in a drawing at work. It's a Kindle. Pretty small. You can see it in my hand. Let me turn it on.
Is it like an e-ink?
Yeah, e-ink Kindle.
Nice.
But it's not the paper white. It's whatever their most basic model is, I think. The reading Kindle, not the Kindle Fire. Wow, does it look wobbly? It's bending. Like, oh, I need to.
That's your frame rate. That's cool.
It must be made by Apple, you know.
Have you used an e-ink reader before?
So yeah, I have a very old Kindle, paper white, and but something happened last time I was traveling with it, and I think something was sitting on the screen, and so I've got these two giant spots on it that are just like bloomed, and it's very annoying. So I was but I loved it, you know. So I'm glad I won this thing. I don't know if anybody. Do you use a Kindle, Eric?
No, actually, that's why I was asking, because I almost want to just get like a used one. I don't care how good or bad. I just want to have the screen to see how it feels. Because honestly, I try to read on my phone, and it even with the color adjustment and the different fonts and stuff, it's still just there's nothing. This doesn't feel as good as I think one of those might. So I don't know.
So this is the font, the way I've got it set up. It's a little smaller than normal, just so I can get more. I think it's the compact, but I think
nice. Okay.
if you go to the font settings and just do standard, let's see. So it looks like that. It's really easy to read.
Oh wow, yes it is.
Here's something special for you guys.
I wasn't saying anything.
The Kindle, at least the Kindle web application, it probably has it on other places, actually has a dyslexic font for those of us who might need a little special kerning on the characters.
Yeah, I did notice that in the font options they have that font. But
wow,
it's very easy to read. It's super light, and so it's not like weighing your hand down. And the backlight is adjustable. And from what it says, it lasts a couple of weeks before you need to charge it. I guess
so.
It
does
depends.
have a backlight.
Yeah. So I can turn the backlight up. Let's see here.
Now nowadays you just got to be careful about the Kindles you get, because they all have to be Wi-Fi or internet capable. You can't download stuff anymore.
Because of the DRM stuff, yeah.
Kind of blows out the camera. But you can see it. The backlight's really, really bright on this thing. I would never turn it all the way up. I'd have no reason to.
I can see it illuminating your chest, like it's that bright. Yeah.
So
they put in that rule last month where you can no longer download something to USB and move it onto your device.
Yeah. So the way I do this is Kindle provides you an email, or Amazon provides you a Kindle email, and you email books to that email address, and then that shows up in your library. That's how I get pretty much all of my books. I send them in EPUB format. You can send them in PDF format as well. I think the old format, Mobi, is how I used to send them, and I think it quit. It doesn't use Mobi anymore. It uses whatever that proprietary Amazon one is. Used to be
you can send non-DRM books to your thing, or
yes.
Okay.
So yeah, but I do it over email. I haven't tried with USB yet. So, but yeah, all the books I read, I usually download from LibGen, I think, and then I just send them via email to my Kindle, and I'll hit sync, and then they show up in my library.
So let me
go ahead.
Let me ask you guys something. So one of the problems I have, and this is any screen, computer, tablet, phone, I tend to use white text on black background because it's less eye fatigue, and frankly, white backgrounds with black text literally make my eyes cross sometimes. Like it's just too strong. So that's one of the problems I have with trying to read on my phone is even with so if I use a black background, I do end up getting black background, white text. I do get eye fatigue. And I get that burn-in effect, if you've ever had that happen to you. And so I find after I read for about a half an hour, like it just gets to be too much, and like I have to take a break. Why I think an e-ink reader might be better is I actually do at times like reading black text on either a white or a sepia background. It's always the backlight that's the problem.
Yeah, so
that's why
you can change this to black background, white text like that.
Okay.
And it also has a sepia background option too, which is kind of a simulated gray tone or whatever. But yeah, I enjoy just standard like this. I mean, it's the closest you can get to a paper book on an electronic device, I think.
Like, I know on some of your older e-ink devices, they had that slightly textured screen, and it was just naturally grayish.
Mm-hmm.
which
how
kind
mine
of
is.
simulated more of a paper type of experience with the black. And that's kind of what, saved your battery too, it being an e-ink display, and just it doesn't have to do brightness or anything except for a backlight if you have one. But no, I know a couple of people that said that experience was much better at emulating reading a physical book, which caused them less eye strain and less headaches.
What I
and
also
I
like
can read
about
paper.
Oh, go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I was just gonna say I can read paper, like white paper with black, like just a book, because I really think it all comes down to the backlighting. It's just white on a screen is too damn bright for my eyes. So it's not the combination of a white background and black text. It's the combination of that on
that light,
shining through. So.
Right,
Yeah,
and most of your
actual light.
e-inks, it's a gray anyway. So I don't know about that
Cool.
particular one. It looked a whole lot whiter.
This is a light gray as well, right? Yeah. And it's just
now. Are there ones where you can have, so like my library uses what the heck is that app
Libby?
that they use?
Hulu? OneDrive?
No, they stopped using Libby. Unfortunately, they use Cloud Library now, which is not as good as Libby.
Oh, okay. Mine uses
but I was
Libby.
wondering.
But you can connect your Libby
awesome.
account and to with your library card within Libby, and then connect Libby to your Kindle, so you can check out books that way.
Sweet.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, but
they don't have
that's the problem, is they switched away from Libby, which sucks. Because even the Libby app was better than the one that they're using now. So anyway, so you could do that with Libby. That's what I was wondering, like if I could get library books and read them on the e-ink. So.
Yeah, I don't know about the application that your library uses. What is it called? Open Cloud Library?
I literally forgot it. Cloud Library, yeah. Yeah. It's not great. There must have been some financial reason for them to switch, because Libby is better than this in just about every way I could imagine.
Well, it says it's only available for the Kindle Fire tablets, not compatible with standard Kindle or the Paperwhite, as far as Cloud Library goes.
You say you haven't tried moving any of it over to disk, like over the wire, or just only email, moving your content over?
I haven't tried the USB connection, just because the email makes it so convenient to transfer from my phone to the Kindle.
Mine used to work like that until they no longer support it. So now I can only move books to my device via wire.
Oh, they don't? What device do you have?
I have like one of the first Kindles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's super old, but I love it.
Man, I loved my previous Kindle, and I like this one even more. The device itself is smaller, but the screen is about the same size, a higher pixel density, and it's also lighter. And the backlight is great. And I don't know, man. Ever since the one thing that really turns me on regarding the Kindle is that it's distraction free. Like I can read on my phone or my laptop or whatever, but I've always gotten distracted because I can use those devices for other things. I mean, you can
never try to read a PDF on it though. PDF sucks.
Yeah, I've done that, and it's not great. I tried to just find EPUB versions or convert PDF to EPUB, which is okay, but yeah, PDF is not great. But yeah, I find that reading on my phone, even though I do it if I'm, in somewhere where I'm on a long commute or something, is okay. It's passable. The Kindle just beats it in every metric, as far as readability, as far as non-distractions, things like that. And I believe this supports Audible as well. Like it has a Bluetooth connection for headphones, but I don't have an Audible account, so. But yeah, I recommend I don't know how much. Anybody know how much the regular Kindle is? Let's see.
I have no idea.
Generic e-reader devices, like e-ink devices that aren't tied to anything, that they're just literally you can throw an EPUB on them?
There are several.
I was going to ask y'all if y'all have used any of those.
I have one over here that someone had sent me to replace the USB port on, and I had given it to my wife, and she never really took it. And like you dump books on it it generates a web page, and then you go to the web page and upload books that way.
Oh, okay.
But I can't find it right this second, and I can't
Is it a
remember what it's
Cobalt?
freaking called. No, something frog or something. I don't remember.
So
I have to find it.
The basic Kindle, which is the one I got, 16 gigabyte on Amazon, is $109.
Plus, I have my grandpa's old Kindle.
I mean, if you read books, that's really not terrible. But I just don't like the way they're going with. I mean, Amazon. It just seems like Kindle gets more and more restrictive every time I hear someone talking about it. It's like, oh yeah, they can't download anything anymore. You can't, and I get it. I mean, it's DRM stuff and whatever, but I don't know. I just hate the idea of spending that kind of money and then
not owning
they do
your
something
book.
stupid. Well, they do something stupid, and 6 months later, you're all pissed off and you don't want to use it anymore. You know what I mean?
Look,
So
it was okay-ish when they were selling the books, but allowing you to download them, even with the DRM, and have them on your own. You can break the DRM, whatever, and they're your books. Now, I'm not saying that you should reshare the books, whatever, but if I'm going to buy a book, I want to be able to remove the DRM. I want to be able to have it in my collection and view it on Caliber and read it however I want to on whatever device I want, not have to go through their tools to view my purchase and then them lose the rights or whatever, and then me never be able to get it again.
You tell them, Joe.
Yeah, if
it's a fair
Amazon
point.
did something like you could only read books that you purchased from Amazon on your Kindle, that would be definitely be a deal killer for me.
Considering that I've been reading ebooks since before there was a Kindle.
Me too, yeah.
Some of them are in .lit format. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm sorry. I was just trying to jump in when there was a space.
I remember when we used to have RFCs.
No, .lit format was the format that Microsoft used when they had a reader, and they don't anymore.
Wow. So does it still work on anything?
Yeah, it still works on Caliber.
Oh, okay.
Is it Caliber or Calibre?
It's actually pronounced Caliber. I was corrected on this one.
Oh, really? I've heard it both ways. I never knew which way to call it.
Calibre.
That's funny.
Oh, Scotty says Calibre.
I did for years. I said Calibre for years. Someone corrected me. It's actually pronounced Caliber.
Okay, you hear that, Scotty? It's Caliber. And
What's
GIF,
interesting about
GIF.
ebooks, though, is that, like, when I think of my movie collection, all the movies that matter to me, I've probably updated 3 times now. Because when I originally had a copy of it, it was $480, and then it went up to maybe $720 or $1080 or whatever. Like, you over time sort of, I mean, and there's hopefully going to be an end at some point, but that's the difference between that and like an ebook, where you buy it once and really you don't ever have to buy it again, theoretically, like you're saying about the lit type books. But so I mean, I guess it's difficult from a publishing standpoint. Like, how do you make money off of something that people are going to buy one time? So do you use the subscription option from Kindle to actually like just read random books?
I got the subscription, the Kindle Unlimited, for my wife a few years back, and she enjoyed it for about 6 months of the 1-year subscription that I got her. And then after that, she really didn't anymore, because she had gone through everything that she reads a lot. And she went through everything that she wanted to read on there, and then just couldn't find things that were good. Granted, there was a lot of garbage that she really didn't enjoy. She'd start, she'd stop. But after 6 months, she just didn't use it anymore. It wasn't valuable to her.
So Kindle Unlimited, are there books that Amazon sells that you cannot get via Kindle Unlimited?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure how that worked.
Many.
Well, Kindle Unlimited is sort of the try before you buy option, because I remember there was a series that I watched that had like 20 books in it, and if I wanted to get them now, I would have to pay $100 for all 20, like $5 a piece.
So they allow you so many books a month, I'm guessing, or how does that work?
But they only have certain titles that are available.
Okay.
And there's a window of when the titles are available, they're available, and when they decide to turn on the meter, they're no longer available as unlimited books.
And sometimes what they'll do, if a series is long, is they'll put the first 2-3 books of the series on unlimited, and then you have to pay for the rest if you want to continue the series.
So what if you download a book via Kindle Unlimited and then you end your subscription, do you lose that book?
I'm not sure. I think I still have access because she did it through my account. I think I still have access to those books and can still re-download them.
Okay.
Or some of them at least.
Look at Honky.
I can't download them anymore, but I can open them and read them if I wanted to.
You tired, buddy?
A little bit. I just get cold down here and
All that slobber coming out. Really.
slobber coming out.
Drool.
Oh, Juliet.
What do you wanting to go to bed?
No, I'm fine.
I will say that with this locked down, you have to download the book from them, and then if you get on a new device, then you have to download it from them again, type of thing. Does also kind of bother me because I know that there are a lot of people that dislike a lot of the books that my wife likes, and some of the books that I like, and will go out of their way to force people to change them, kind of like they're trying to ban certain books from schools. Because they get to decide what I and my kids can and can't read. So if they change the version and then I have to go download it on another machine, am I forced to get the new version? But there's already examples of that type of thing. Like Tom Sawyer has changed over time. Huck Finn has changed over time. Just different things like that. You saw complaints about Apple Music getting rid of live versions for the generic versions of songs and things like that over the years. So, I don't know.
Well,
maybe I'm paranoid.
Here's an example. Try to find the old Disney musical Song of the South.
Yeah, no. You can find it on YouTube, I'm sure.
I wonder about those. If you could still access those old Warner Brothers cartoons that during World War II era. How they portrayed the Japanese and things like that. I wonder if those are still available.
You're
where
talking
Bugs
about
Bunny
genuine racism.
where Bugs Bunny had the giant buck teeth and the rice patty hat or whatever.
Man. What about Speedy Gonzalez? And remember his cousin, Slowpoke Rodriguez?
Oh, yeah, I remember Slowpoke Rodriguez. Yeah.
You go to prison if you play that.
Actually, I saw on YouTube a Yosemite Sam short where Yosemite Sam is coming and everybody finishes their drink or whatever, and then this one Native American looking guy says, I can beat that guy. And the guy standing by the door takes the guy's beer, and the Indian goes out and gets killed. and the guy at the door says, I get more free beer this way.
I remember Bugs Bunny dressing up as a native lots of times with the whole feathered headdress and all that stuff.
He's one of the original crossdressers.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
too. Yeah. I saw
Him
a
and
clip.
Milton Berle.
Did you ever see that clip of the original Disney Three Little Pigs, where the big bad wolf was trying to get in, and he disguised himself as a merchant, but he was portrayed as like a Jewish person with like a big nose and like putting his hands together like that and stuff, and they edited that out and changed him into like some other kind of character. I forgot what it was, but yeah, it's interesting to see those old cartoons, animated features like that.
Actually, while we're talking about historic movies, there was one about
I'm
a
sure
show
YouTube will love this.
about a show that was actually put on. The Army drafted a lot of women impersonators, and
Was that a MASH?
they put them into a
They put them on the shows.
They put them on shows, and there was actually a movie made out of what was a real show.
Well, like the UXO shows, except smaller.
Oh no, no.
The entertainment.
You got to go get yourself some of that old school Little Rascals. Remember Buckwheat?
Oh yeah.
The old school one, where his face was like negative space on the screen with overexposed teeth and eyes.
Like, did you ever watch the old Saturday Night Live episodes with Eddie Murphy? He would do Buckwheat's greatest hits or whatever, CD or albums.
Did you ever listen to any Richard Pryor show?
Oh,
Any
man.
of them?
The stand-up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can never play any of that stuff today, though. Like
Red Fox.
Or Don Rickles.
Or Eddie Murphy Delirious, the one before Raw came out. That's pretty non-PC.
Well, Eddie Murphy took a lot of inspiration from Richard Pryor in his early stuff. I mean,
and Red
seriously,
Fox too. Don't forget about him.
I've totally forgot all about Richard Pryor. I gotta go find some of that stuff. I think I'll have a good laugh this week.
You know who was also good? And I know, and don't cancel me. Bill Cosby. His early stand-up was awesome.
He did. If I remember correctly, he was talking about I think he was talking about being a parent or something like that. The last thing I've heard of him, where he was talking about how parents don't care about justice; they only want quiet or whatever. So he disciplined any one of the kids that was making a bunch of noise just to get the quiet. But I did outside of that, I didn't hear much of his other stuff. Did he do like some really?
Watch the Fat Albert cartoons.
Well, he did. Bill Cosby himself was really good. He did a lot of the Fat Albert and his stand-up
He made
stuff.
Fat Albert.
Yeah, it was a character in his stand-up.
Yeah. Look up his stuff from the late '60s and early '70s before he got into all the being a dad and all that stuff. It's really funny. I mean, it's not dirty or anything, but it's just really funny.
Well, who was that? Flip Wilson also.
Or are we going to name all the black comedians? It's this on this segment of the show.
To keep the theme of cross-dressing, we can't forget Josephine. You know, the girl who invites guys to sit in the corner, in the back, in the dark. Then tells her boyfriend where the guy is going to be so he can be beaten up.
I don't remember that.
Nope.
I'm not up on my cross dressers.
Yeah. Who is the guy in MASH that always wore a dress because he wanted to be crazy?
Oh,
Klinger.
Klinger.
Klinger, yeah. MASH was great.
Have you ever? I know I'm pushing this further down the rabbit hole, but Eddie Izzard,
I never watched him.
he's good. He's actually really good. I like his stand-up stuff.
Wasn't he the?
He's got a newer stuff that I didn't think it was still good, but it wasn't as good as some of his older stuff.
Dame Edna? Is that Eddie Izzard?
No.
No, Dame Menden is a different person.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Eddie Izzard was not really so much a cross-dresser as he just wore makeup to start with, and then I think maybe he did at some point go further than that. But yeah, most of the stand-up that I ever saw him in, he just had like mascara on or something.
I thought he wore like a kimono most of the time. He'd wear like a dress.
Not the ones that I saw him in, at least. I don't know. I'm talking from like late 90s, early 2000s stuff, so...
Maybe.
That's what I'm saying. I think probably as things got more permissive, then he probably did take it further.
But he's fucking funny. I like this stuff. He goes off on weird tangents that were just great.
So we need those old.
Speaking of a rather more new comic that. There's a little person comic, Williams, Bill Williams or something.
I think I know the comic you're talking about. He has some interesting stuff.
Is it good?
I think I've seen him too, yeah.
Hilarious.
Also,
urinal etiquette changes when you're a midget.
Is it mostly about being a midget, or does he go into other stuff?
No, it's not all, but some of it. It's other stuff, but it's funny because he'll do something straight like a normal sort of humor, and then the twist a lot of times will be from his perspective. So it's actually makes it not different.
He really
cool
trees people who are. He's a short person, and he says that why can't I use whatever language for my people that I want to use? Little person, midget, dwarf, whatever it is. The words are the words, and I'm one of them, and if you don't like it, stuff it, basically.
You know what I don't like? Those comics. This guy was at the WinStar, which is a big casino just over the border in Oklahoma. This guy, Gabriel Iglesias, do you know that guy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fluffy?
Yes.
Yeah, the puffy guy, yeah.
Yeah, those...
Or Fluffy.
Those kind of comedians that are just super obvious and on the nose and very broad comedy that mouth-breathing morons think is funny and just... They're basically the comedic equivalent of fucking whatever's the worst sitcom you can think of, where it's just everything is so telegraphed and just like you're not saying anything approaching original. People laugh because they are familiar with it, but not because it's actually funny, And I don't know if that type of comic is still popular, but I remember like in the mid to late 90s, that's all it was, was that kind of comedy. And like, who's that other guy, Dane Cook, and just people like that are just fucking annoying, like how can anybody think this is funny? But so many people made these guys rich, went to their shows and paid for their pay-per-views and all that stuff, and there's just nothing fucking so. Yeah, his name is Fluffy.
Think back to
his website is called fluffyguy.com. Talk about a one fucking trick pony that just it's like that what is that, Larry the Cable Guy, that fucking moron.
Oh yeah.
Shit, get her done.
Yeah.
So what, the entire white collar comedy crew?
There goes the audience.
I thought that was a blue collar.
Or blue collar comedy.
Yeah.
I don't know who else is part of that besides Larry the Cable Guy.
I like who's the guy
Jeff
that
Foxworthy and Bill Engwall.
Engwall.
And
Engwall,
White.
I thought it was.
What was
No,
the
no,
other
no.
guy's
Who was the guy that
Something
White. Yeah,
White?
Ron
yeah.
White.
Ron
One
White.
thing I know
Ron
about
White.
Foxworthy
He's
is
pretty
he had
funny.
that TV show,
Yeah.
so I haven't heard his stand-up. Maybe they're funny, but I know Larry the Cable Guy
It's
is not
pretty
fucking funny.
It's still pretty standard stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
except for
I grew up-
Ron White, who just doesn't give a fuck.
Yes, Ron White's pretty damn funny.
And he does the joke about his brother-in-law having a Mercedes or something, and him having a van, and Bill having a van or whatever his name is. And,
Yeah.
and it's about nailing his sister in his van. It's a really well done joke. Like, it's very funny. And this whole thing about him being called tater salad or some
Yes.
dumb shit
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
he tells
Do you have
very
an
good
alias?
stories.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
they call
Yeah,
him
they call
alias.
me
Tater
Tater
Salad.
I don't know how
Yeah.
many of them it was going to take to whoop my ass, but I knew how many of them they were going to use. That was important.
Yeah, he does have some good stuff, no doubt.
I love that bit. That
I
was a
grew up
good one.
watching all of that. Remember it was like maybe USA Network, or like it was one of the not main networks, but there would be all those like one night stands and
Oh yeah, how many
um,
half hours?
yeah.
Yeah,
And sometimes they would be awesome. Someone you never heard of would knock it out of the park, but a lot of
Yep.
times they were pretty boring.
yeah.
You know. But I love comedy was like probably, I really for a while thought this was like what I wanted to do because I loved it so much. You know what I mean? I knew everybody, I was into it, I knew all the dumb jokes, but then I kind of was like, this sounds like a really hard job.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever
Yeah.
told any jokes that would get you canceled today? That's how you know if
Not
you're
really.
a
That's
real
like all
comic.
of them. That's like all of them.
Yeah, but that's how you know you're ready for it. If you're willing to go out there and say the thing that you know is going to give you the heat, and you say it anyway and just go forward, that's
that
how you
works
know you're
for
ready
some
for that.
people. It doesn't work
Yeah.
for everybody. Like that guy from what was
Seinfeld.
it? Seinfeld. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that
Kramer.
he
Like
he
it
made-
worked for Lenny Bruce, but it's not going to work for Kramer. Michael
Right.
Richards.
Yeah, poor
Hey,
Michael
he
Richards.
wasn't-
Somehow it works for Matt Rife.
He just wasn't a stand-up comedian to begin with. Like, he had no business doing that in the first place, in my opinion. You know,
That's
he
a
was just trying to be
fair-
edgy.
That's a pretty fair point because I'm not sure I've ever seen him do anything kind of stand-up-ish. But I mean,
No,
and that
I mean, he
basically
was-
that basically canceled him though. I mean, he
For
dropped
life.
off
Oh,
the face
destroyed
of
his
the
career.
earth.
Yeah.
He's,
Look,
he's a
look,
leper
he-
now. No one will touch
He
him.
wasn't really going to have much of an acting career beyond Seinfeld anyway.
All right.
Right.
He was in in stuff before Seinfeld.
he was in UHF as Stanley
UHF,
Spadowski. He
yep.
was awesome in that.
But
yeah.
not
Yeah.
much.
He was in other stuff. Right.
Yeah.
But
let's
that,
I mean,
he
it
was
was all-
in Airheads. He was in that movie. Same kind of. Well,
He was in Airheads, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
The last
But I-
thing he did was in 2019. It looks like a TV movie called Faith, Hope, and Love.
Michael Richards, really?
Yeah. When recent divorcee Faith enters a dance contest to save her dance studio, she meets Jimmy Hope and rediscovers her faith and dreams. So that's what he's been reduced to.
It sounds like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah,
Right.
basically.
I can't imagine him trying to play like a straight role. Like, I don't know that he would be like, who would give a shit? You know what I mean?
He definitely didn't play a straight role in Airheads.
No.
Well, I mean, that's this whole thing is playing like an outrageous goofball who's very physical comedy. I mean, it's this whole,
Right.
if you can't see his face, like, he's not someone who I think could ever be funny just by his voice or, you know, acting like he's.
He is a physical comedian for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
That's what Jim Carrey was like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
talk about
that's
a
why I like
Even,
Jim
even
Carrey.
Jim Carrey's stand-up is all mainly physical. You know, facial expressions, impressions, things
exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
Not any
It was all the
nuanced
characters
jokes
he
or
did.
anything.
Yeah, it was the
I
stuff he
loved
did
his
on
characters.
Living Color.
I loved his characters from In Living Color.
Mhm.
Fire Marshal Bill.
Let me
Fire
tell
Marshal
you.
Bill. Fire Marshal Bill. You have the old guy who sits there. Pork and beans. you have the what was it, Russian gymnast, where it's just basically him with
Vanilla
the
Ice?
Yes.
Yeah.
When
Vanilla
what was her name?
Yep.
Where he had the like pigtails.
Yes.
Oh
I don't
god, no, he was great. I mean, that's just it. He was great until he got too big, and I think now he like has completely lost his mind. Like everything I'd see him talk about, where he acts
met
like he's so
Jenny. What's her face? And I think that's when everything changed.
Yeah.
Who was that Playboy chick
The
that was on
Playboy
MTV?
chick, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he was the highest paid actor for like a 3 to 5 year period or something.
Oh yeah,
He
That Dumb and
broke all the
Dumber.
records. He got like 40 million for a picture, and that was like the most anyone had ever made by a long shot.
he
And
was huge.
he was
Liar,
for a few
Liar,
years. Yep.
The Cable Guy, Truman Show.
The only he did a bunch of like
Ace
serious
Ventura.
stuff too, and I hated trying to see him in a something
Really?
serious.
You didn't
Brandon
like that
Fraser.
The only one I did
Spotless
was
Mind, Sunshine of
Yeah.
the Spotless. That was pretty good.
Man on the Moon, just because I think it was called Man
Andy
on the Moon.
Kaufman?
Andy Kaufman, just because I like Danny Kaufman. I
Yeah.
think Andy Kaufman was really cool. I think he was an interesting guy who, I mean, he would go up on stage as a completely different person and just stay in that character for a long
Mhm.
time. What the hell was the name of that character he would go up as?
Or the asshole guy?
Yeah,
Man, I can't remember. He'd show up on Letterman like that too.
right. And he would just stay in that character, you would think that he was that person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like that one. But but he's still kind of. I mean, he's kind of gone back a bit to his goofy. He was in the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. My kids like the Sonic movies, and he is fucking goofy in those.
I forgot about those.
The newest one, he plays his own grandfather, and that's pretty funny.
Huh.
But it goes back to being a little bit more physical. He's a physical comic.
Man,
I think
I'm tired. Are y'all sleepy, or you want to keep going? Can we shelve the movie Hackers?
No,
for next
let's talk
next
about the
episode?
movie. We're talking about the
Hackers?
movie
How
and
long
picking
is it
another
going to
one.
take to talk about Hackers?
Okay,
Right?
okay.
Everybody has seen it already.
That's true.
All-star cast.
L goes first. L, what do you think?
Jolie is you.
I know how to
Early
use a pause
Jolie
button,
is probably all the stars you need.
especially if you know how to use the pause button.
This was before all the plastic surgery too.
And you can tell.
Yep.
Well, y'all hurry up and get it over with.
Mord had to get his Mord's switching over.
Honky, give the synopsis.
Oh, me? Okay. So a kid, the movie starts off with a kid being arrested for hacking. They made they want to make an example out of him, so they told him he couldn't. He was 7 years old, and they told him he couldn't touch a computer until he was 18. And I don't know, he was like 9 years old because it was 7 years had passed, I think. Something
So
like that.
11. He was 11.
11, that's right. That makes more sense.
And
11 years old.
He couldn't touch a computer till he was 18, right?
He
He was
crashed
18, and
1,507 systems.
Which was fantastic that they went in there guns blazing for a kid on the computer. They broke down a door. Everybody had guns, like somebody was going to pop out and somebody was going to start shooting for an
Assault
11-year-old
rifles.
kid. Yes, for an 11-year-old, which always baffles me. Every time that they had the Secret Service, which I always thought was weird that the Secret Service was dealing with this, not like the FBI, but every time they went after a hacker, it was with guns, lots of guns. Like they couldn't just walk up and go, "Hey, buddy, yeah, just come with us."
Right. Let's pull out the big guns for a bunch of nerds.
Yeah. So the kid couldn't use his computer for a long time, and then once he finally goes back on it, the world has changed. There's a lot more hackers out there in the world, and so he starts going back into hacking, and he meets other hackers, and they one of them is an aspiring hacker, a younger kid who gets into a server. I think doesn't. He starts. These guys are just like dialing random numbers. So he dials a random number, gets into this server, and wants to prove that he to other people that he was able to do it. And he starts copying stuff out of a junk folder. Apparently, that junk folder had a virus in it that.
I'm going to stop you there because you made a mistake. The first time he cracked into something, it was a bank, and that was the random one. And they told him he couldn't do that anymore, and they were talking about Gibsons, and Gibsons are the computers that everybody, wants to be known for hacking, blah, 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 big security. And so he hacked a Gibson and copied a garbage file in order to prove that he had hacked the Gibson to his cool hacker friends.
Right.
And
All
it
from his
happened to
home.
be happened to be a worm, not a virus at that point. The worm gets explained later, though. Okay, continue.
All right. So the person who does the security for that company that has the Gibson that got hacked is the one who created the worm and is worried about the fact that this kid stole part of that information or copied stuff off of that garbage folder because that's where he kept the worm. And so he gets the Secret Service involved and tells them that he creates another virus or worm that
He creates a virus
that called a Da Vinci virus to sink some tankers that are involved with that the company are involved with.
Ellington
Ellington Oil. So he flips one of them, doesn't he?
It was an empty tanker.
It was an empty tanker, but it does tip over.
Yeah.
And so he to help him find the people who hacked into his system, he sicks the Secret Service on them to by saying that they're the ones who created that virus. And so then they're trying to get away from the Secret Service coming after them, and there's also a little side story where the kid who was arrested and then a long time ago, and then gets into a war with a girl who's a hacker, a local girl who's a hacker who. They start a bet on who can screw with the head of the guy heading up the
Secret Service
Service task force against hacking. Who can fuck with him the most? So that there's a side story about the bet going on with that, and then they have to basically do what they can to prove that they're not the ones who created the Da Vinci virus by figuring out what was in that garbage folder and then trying to prove that it was somebody else, or at least show that it isn't them, so they can.
They announced to the world the nasty, evil corporate nasty who's trying to do all this.
At the end.
Yeah, that's basically what we're at.
Yeah, they get help from these other hackers and hackers around the world that like to crack into TV stations.
Hackers of the world, unite!
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun movie. There is some realism to it. There is a lot of Hollywood stuff to it to make hacking look interesting, because it's difficult to make hacking look interesting. But I do appreciate the fact that they talk about
risk,
different types of ways that that people use to freak, like phone calls and stuff like that. Basically, what hacking they talk about. Basically, what hacking is. I mean, when he the first thing he does when he gets his he's finally able to use a computer again, is he calls up the television station and he convinces the guy to basically socially engineers a guy to give him the information, the address, the phone number to crack into the television station's system. And that's half of what I mean. You listen to Kevin Mitnick. That's half of what they do. Is just they learn some of the speak, how to talk like guys who work on phone lines and stuff like that. And that using that, they call other places, convincing them that they actually work for the phone company or whatever. And that's how they convince the guy to give them the information to get onto the system. 90% of hacking is fucking social engineering and B&E.
Right, and how they got all the passwords to be able to do the final hack at the end, where they were trying to get the rest of the worm, which they had found out was stealing the leftover portions of each transaction, a couple of cents here, a couple of cents there, until it was worth several $1 million or whatever, was by one guy walking around who had an eidetic memory that was memorizing people's passwords as they were typing them in, and then also
Lord Nikon,
yeah. by the dumpster diving,
right,
and et cetera, and so they finish the hack. They get arrested, all of them except for serial killer, played by Matthew Lillard. And they get the information out there, and then the people that actually did it get arrested and go out on dates, blah blah blah. Everybody's happy. The end.
Right.
So Johnny Lee Miller, Angelina Jolie, Matthew Lillard, just on and on with the great people in this freaking movie. So it's cheesy as hell.
Yeah.
But it's good.
So does this 30-year-old movie hold up today as far as in the tech scene?
Oh, wait. You mean in the tech scene? A lot of the things that they did in the movie still hold up today as far as hacking, like socially engineering and stuff. But outside of that,
no, the visualizations never held up. They were never going to hold up.
Right.
It's still decent CGI, especially for the time. But I will say that the technology that they actually verbalized were talking about, other than that hacking scene there at the end, there was some abstraction there that was actually decent, but the visualizations were still shoddy. But talking about like risk architecture and just the different things that were actually going on at the time, I think it did pretty well.
Risk is good. Freaking. Risk is good.
A lot of the phone freaking stuff was stuff that was really big at that time. Yeah.
Oh, to give you, when I was hanging around Building 20, and this was when the ARPANET was still the ARPANET and not open to many people. One guy at one of their computer clubs was on the internet, and he found Jerry Purnell, the computer writer for Byte magazine and whatnot. He was on AI or one of their machines, and somebody said, somebody wanted to do something nasty with him, and somebody said, not on my account, because evidently, Jerry Purnell had gotten an ARPA, an AI account or something with internet access, because he was Jerry Purnell, when most people couldn't really get that level of access.
One thing you guys haven't talked about is it's got a pretty damn cool soundtrack.
It does. A lot of electronica.
Absolutely.
Really cool, like older Prodigy stuff, Orbital, things like that.
Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, that weren't being put in movies really at the time, Cool stuff.
I thought that really brought Rage Against the Machine into the spotlight, didn't it? That was their first real out there foray.
Maybe so.
It was 1996.
Guys, I need to jump. Oh.
Yeah, it's late as hell.
Also, Morton C., I hope you and Elle are having a nice week. Happy. It's my birthday week, but wishing you well is knowing you is one of the greatest gifts that I've had in many years. And I'm glad you like the peripheral accessories that I gave Elle. And I'll trust you to take care of the mainframe.
Would y'all like to know
Thank
the
you
next
so
movie?
much.
Yes.
From 1977, Demon Seed. Written by Dinar Kuntz. It says a scientist creates Proteus, an organic supercomputer with artificial intelligence, which becomes obsessed with human beings, and in particular, the creator's wife.
There's a movie of this?
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting one.
I just listened to the book.
Yeah. Oh, the Dean Kuntz book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good night, friends.
Good night, buddy.
Night, Miner.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night,
Happy
Nat.
birthday.
Good night.
Hey,
Good night.
Good night.
I appreciated that the video you sent.
The sea shanty?
Yes.
Demon Seed is on Tubi.
Excellent. I like when things are on Tubi.
Me too.
Makes it easy.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I look forward to seeing that.
Do you know if there are any ad blockers that work on Tubi?
Pi-hole does.
Oh, okay.
Mine doesn't.
You have to open the site or you have to open your Pi-hole within the browser while you're watching Tubi, and then catch the ads on there and then blacklist them. But they don't come like already within a blacklist that's already
With a
downloaded.
predefined list.
Yeah.
uBlock Lite seems to work on it.
uBlock works on everything.
Well, I'm just talking on my smart TV.
Thank you.
I'll just use the Tubi app on the TV. But if you manually block them in the app, or not the app, on your phone or however you're looking at the Pi-hole interface, they'll stay blocked.
All right. So it's getting late. So are we going to call it a night?
Yeah.
I have to get up at 6. What time are you getting up?
4.
Damn.
Actually,
Oh,
4:30.
yikes.
Probably like 9, maybe 10,
Shut up.
11 maybe. But no
Just make it
later,
good.
no later than noon.
That Demon Seed movie looks crazy. I'm watching the preview. Looks cool. Lots of weird 70s special effects.
I am interested to see after listening to the book. I'm interested
Was the book
to
good?
see. It was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of slow when I don't know. It was okay. There's not much to the story itself. So I'm wondering what they do for like the whole movie. It wasn't a very long book. Is Joe talking to us or? Okay, he's not talking to us. All right. Let's close it out.
Okay.
All right, our next recording date will be April 4th, 2025. Our music is downright provided by Klaatu and Brome. And we'd like to thank Minix for the Mumble server and probably most of our other servers. All right, I've been your host this evening, Honky Magoo. With us tonight has been Elle.
Good night.
Eric.
See you next time.
Joe.
Sorry I won't be on the next show.
Well, who on you?
Friend's birthday party.
Cool. Lovecraft.
Good night, everybody.
Minix.
Good night.
Morton C.
Good night, all.
Good night.
And Scotty.
Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night, everybody.
$2. Give me my $2.
Yes.